Hello boys and girls, today we're going to be talking about line plots with fractional data points. So this is related mostly to how do I construct and analyze line plots that involve fractions as data points. So you guys in 5th grade, you are working with fractions in many different ways and representations. Here's how we deal with this on our line plots. And so what we have here is an example of what you would probably see in 3rd or 4th grade, possibly even 2nd, on when you're dealing with a type of a line plot. Now you're seeing several sets of data here, so I'm going to walk you through it. Stan had to survey his 5th grade class to see the amount of families that have multiple siblings. That is, the number of students that have one or more brothers and sisters. Each time he talked to a fellow student who had at least one sibling, he marked them and their number of siblings down. Below is the data from this survey. And so it shows all their data that he got in the classroom. And so I can imagine him out walking around. Hey, do you have a brother or a sister? Yes, I have two, marking it down. So then what he went to do is he took it and made a table so that he organized his data. And so every time he saw a 1, he put an X there. So we got a 1, put an X there, 2, and all that stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to quickly create this here from what we see. So I'm going to put a 1, I'm going to put a dot there, I see a 2, okay, so what I can do with this now is I can answer a lot of questions. I can answer questions ranging from how many total kids are in his 5th grade class, or I can look at what is the most or what is the mode of the data, and I could look at this and see visually that the one that's tallest has the most number of popularity or frequency. And so I have a similar question, but what I have here is I have the heights instead. And so we're going to tally this up. We're going to create a tally table, and then we're going to use that to create our heights. So using this data, my first step that I want to look at is this. Create a table representing the max and min. So our maximum looks like it's 5.5 feet. Okay, so 5. Our smallest would be 4.5. So, or 4.25. I'm sorry. So 4.25. So I'm going to make my smallest set of data 4.25. Okay. So from there, what I can do next is I can tally all the data. So I have 4.25, and I see my fractions are in quarters. So this next one's going to be 4.5. Then it's 4.75. Then it's 5. Then it's 5.25, 5.5, 5.75. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tally everything together. So I'm going to put a little line wherever I see a piece of data, starting with 4.75. And so what I can do then is I can see now I have all my intervals. I'm going to use the same intervals here. Okay, so now that I have everything lined up and I have all my information here, what I can look at now is I could see, okay, well, where do we see the most students? We see the most students between 4.75 and 5. So our median or middle would be somewhere around there. Our median, our 3, 4, 5. I should have 6. Sorry. So our mode, which is what happens most often, would be 5, which means that most students are around 5 feet. Okay? And our range is 4.25 to 5.5. So it's about 3, it'd be 1.25 feet as our range. Okay, from the shortest to the tallest person. All right? So what I do to create a fraction line plot is I use my data to find the max and min and my intervals. If it's in quarters, then my intervals are quarter inches or quarter feet. And so I would have 4 intervals or 4 spaces in between each whole number. If I were in eighths, it would be 8 spaces between each whole number. So I'm using that denominator to help me out with my data. Then, as the numbers come, I can either create a tally sheet or I can go right ahead and start marking it in my line plot. So each time I see a 4 3/4, I put it in at 4 3/4. All right, so that's how we create a fraction line plot.